Today we are reviewing a watercolor palette that I have used and loved very much, which is the Kuretake Gansai Tambi 36 pens. It was my first artist grade watercolor set that I bought when I started painting, and then I switched to more professional brands, but I have painted a lot with this, and I would like to review this with you today. First of all, this is the presentation of the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. Mine is a bit old and used, but I can tell you with a lot of experience about the results. And when you open it, there is on the back of the lid, there is a color chart that you can fill in. Then there is a protective lid in plastic that you might use as a mixing palette, but I don't think I would. And then you have these large pans that you can buy open stock once they're finished, and they have very large, as you see. They have a code, but there is no pigment information, so this is how they present themselves. Okay, we start from red. When we swatch our colors, I will quote some of the most asked questions on the web. The first is, are these colors gouache or watercolor? This is commonly asked on questions, and on the official site, actually on their official website, they say that if you add little water, they can be used like gouache, and if you dilute them, they can be used as watercolor. Actually, they're very easy to re-wet, but they're not as opaque as they say. They're not as opaque as gouache. They may be more opaque than Western watercolor, but I wouldn't call it gouache. So this was red. Then we go on to carmine, and we tackle some more questions. You see, the large pans let you go inside with a large brush, which is a Japanese style of painting using large brush for sumie, for instance. And originally these Gansai Tambi were meant to be used with rice paper that I have never tried, I must say, and large brushes for sumie. So this is carmine, a slightly colder red. You see the colors are all very vibrant. This is rose madder. I'm not wetting the paper to see if they are really as opaque as they say, but I must say, look, there is this black line. They're not so opaque as they say. They don't look at all like gouache. They exactly look like a watercolor. The next question is, are these colors based on pigment? Once again, there is a bit of mystery around this brand, and they were very popular a few years ago, but if you're passionate about pigments and composition as I am, this lack of information about pigments can turn you a bit off. So I must say that having absolutely no information about pigment is very disappointing. But what I know is that they're not dye-based, they're absolutely pigment-based, and they are considered artist color. Let's go to cadmium red. You see the names of the paint, for instance, when they say cadmium, implies that they're using a real pigment. Cadmium actually reinforces this opinion because cadmium pigment is always slightly more opaque and has less flow on paper, exactly like this cadmium red. I will add some color here to verify how opaque it is. Go to cadmium scarlet, another cadmium color. I must say these large pans are very useful with a larger brush. This cadmium scarlet is almost a vermilion, and I find it very beautiful. And they dry slightly glossy. Why? Another difference between this Gansai Tambi and Western watercolor is the binder. They use Gamma Arabic, but they also use some binder of animal origin like fish glue or wax. So I don't think they are very suitable for vegan artists. So if you have this concern, you should stay away from this paint because I'm sure there is an animal component. This is cadmium orange, it's very vibrant. So you're starting to see that colors very vibrant. So although there is no pigment information, you start to see why many artists use this paint. On their official website, this is yellow ochre, there are information about lightfastness. They are not punctual, they don't say this color, they don't have a star system for each color, but they say that their colors are light fast, so that you can use them and sell your product without fear of seeing the colors fade away in time. The yellow ochre is slightly opaque, like most yellow ochres. You can see, I can see I have cats, so sometimes I've got cat hair in my paint, but that happens to artists with cats. Let's go to yellows. Yellows, I found them particularly vibrant in this set, and I must say that every time I have some food illustration, I'm always tempted to use my Kuretake Gansai Tambi because of the vibrancy of the color. Cadmium is opaque, as we could expect. You see there is some color over the black line. Let's wait until it dries. Then a color called Aroline. It's a color that you find in many artist brands. It's a colder yellow, but it's supposed to be transparent, which is not at all in this case. I find it very opaque, but it should be a nice mixing color. Lemon yellow. Lemon yellow, it doesn't say if it is cadmium or not, but I argue that it is not. The other big question about Kuretake Gansai Tambi is what does Kuretake Gansai Tambi means? First of all, Kuretake is the brand of this specific set of Gansai Tambi. Gansai Tambi in Japanese are two words. Gansai means pigments and Tambi means aesthetics. So it means beautiful pigments, I would say. Let's go to the greens. Greens, this olive green is a bit dull, but it's muted. So it is very pretty actually in landscapes. I have used Gansai Tambi to paint florals and plants, and I must say the result is very pretty. One other question is, are they mixable? We will run a mixing test at the end. This is sap green light, but usually they say that it's better not to mix them. Sap green is slightly opaque. That's why they give you such a huge range of colors, so you can pick the exact color that you need. And this is the usual recommendation for these colors, and you don't need to mix them. However, I must say that I have mixed them in my experience, and I haven't got a particularly muddy result. I'm always very cautious in mixing Gansai Tambi because I usually mix contiguous colors, which is green with green, or maybe red with yellow, but I wouldn't mix three colors together. Maybe this is Hooker's green, which is very vibrant and also opaque. I see some granulation in the green. Look at this. And then we go to the sap green deep. The Hooker's green is, I usually like Hooker's green very much, but this Hooker's green is a bit artificial, so I would use it in a mix. I would correct it. This is what I do. I usually correct it with the brown. Sap green deep. It's a muted dark green. I prefer the standard sap green, but yes, you can use it. You have three shades of sap green light, sap green standard, Hookers, and deep. Then we go to Viridian. Viridian is a very useful color in a palette. I never ever use it as it is, but I use it in two cases. I use it for giving green shade to tropical sea, because when you use turquoise you can add some viridian to give depth and color variety to the sea. And I also use it as a mixing base, and I like to use viridian and add blue and brown and yellow ochre, and to watch it change and mute down, and you get some unexpected results. This viridian is also slightly granulating. This is strange. And here we have a forest green, also a bit artificial, but in a sketch it could be nice even used as it is, exactly for what it is called in for forest. You see, we have 7 greens, which is a lot. So you, having said this, you really don't need to mix much, because you just correct what you have on your set, and you can get a wide range of greens. Now we go to turquoise green deep, and it's a color that you don't see much in other brands, this type of turquoise, but for seaside it's beautiful. I find it. It is a very interesting shade, and I have used it also for bone china, to draw, you know, the intricate patterns on bone china. Then we have, I don't know how to pronounce this, malachite maybe, and it's a color that I don't use at all. I don't use pastel colors. You see, there is white. In Asian watercolors, there are often colors mixed with whites that we don't really use in Western watercolors, in Western brands. But I like it. I wish I could use it more, but I just don't know how to use it. But here it is. If you like pastel colors, it's a lovely color. Then we have another color. It's ultramarine pale. I guess you could use it for sky, but it's another pastel color that I don't really know how to use. I'm not very much into pastel colors. But it is nice, for instance, for an illustration for sky, like a little landscape. You could make a lovely sky with this ultramarine pale. Then we have the regular ultramarine. It's almost finished mine. I use it a lot. And here it is granulating, so it looks like it's real ultramarine from granulation. It's not very vibrant compared to other colors of this set, so I can't reach a strong level of intensity, but it flows very well on paper. It dissolves very well and it's very transparent. Then we go to cerulean blue. Cerulean blue, I'm not a big fan in some brands. In some brands it's slightly grayish. In this case it's more a phthalo. I would say this is a phthalo blue or a manganese blue, but I like it very much. For skies I usually prefer phthalo shades, phthalo colors than ultramarine, so I use this one for sky in this palette. Then we have turquoise, which is different from this turquoise green dip, which was, now that it's dry, look at how beautiful it is. We have this turquoise, and this is also beautiful for sea, so you could use them both for sea and for sky also. Some tropical summer skies, I think that I could use this turquoise blue. It's very nice. Then we go to Prussian blue, and here it is. And it is exactly a Prussian blue as you would expect it. It's a color that I find it a good mixing base. It's very pretty, very transparent. I wouldn't call this a gouache at all. Indigo. It's a real indigo. Look at this. It's blue. It's not a dark gray as many indigos. This is a real indigo. Absolutely. A dark blue. It's Imperial Violet. That should be the equivalent of dioxazine violet, I think. This is incredibly vibrant. Very nice. Maybe I wouldn't use it as it is, but I would mix it with, for instance, indigo for shades, or with maybe black for shade. And you can use it to darken brown, for instance. It's incredibly vibrant and beautiful. Then we have cobalt violet. Cobalt violet is a color that I like very much, both for florals and skies. But each brand has a different interpretation of this cobalt violet. I have a Rembrandt edition, which I like very much. And this is very delicate, slightly granulating. Lovely. Purple. It's a color that you don't see very much, so it can be very useful for florals, for instance. It's very nice, it's very transparent. It is slightly granulating. I like it very much. Now, burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is a color that I use very much. But I must say that this version is not my favorite. It's a bit dull, and I prefer richer versions. It's a bit weak, this burnt sienna. I would say that earth colors are not the forte of this watercolor set. Let's go to raw amber deep. Very limited range of earth tones. This is also quite weak, strongly granulating, very transparent. Not particularly interesting, but you use what you have. They have black, doesn't say what type of black, but it's a black that I sometimes use in this set to tone down some colors that are too vibrant, or for shades mixed with blue, or mixed with Imperial Violet. So this is black. Then we go to white. It doesn't say if it is opaque or a transparent white. Try to take opaque. It's not gouache, however, you see? It's not completely opaque. But it's a mixing white if you want some pastel colors. Then you have some metallic, which is interesting to have. I don't use them very much, but I have used them in the past to add details. This is white gold. It's quite transparent. It's just a shiny wash that you can add to or mix with other colors to make them shine. Then I have bluish gold, which is a colder gold. It's a bit grayish, not particularly crazy about it. It's like old gold, but it's interesting in a way. I haven't used it much, I must say. And then gold. This is the one that I have used the most. The metallic are not so easy to use, and this is it. So not the best metallic on the market. Let's try some mixes now. We start from ultramarine blue and we add some lemon yellow, and we immediately get a clean, vibrant green. Then we try mixing our ultramarine blue with red, and we have a nice granulating purple. It's more reddish or blue, it depends on the ratio of colors. Then we take some carmine and we mix it with Prussian blue to get a different purple. And the purple we get is really beautiful. It's deep velvety purple. Now orange with the cadmium red and cadmium yellow. We try some special convenience color now, mixing the pale ultramarine with some yellow. The result that we get is a bit grayish, but because we have white, so it's not a combination I would recommend. Let's try some gray now, because we don't have a Payne's gray in this set. I use my common formula, which is ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, and it's a lovely granulating gray. Let's go to some sky now, and I use some cerulean blue, and I add cobalt violet, as I sometimes do for clouds, and it works very, very well. There is color separation, and the result is very agreeable. I add some ultramarine blue for a darker tone, and again some cobalt violet. So my pros and cons. Pros, they're very vibrant. They have a beautiful range, and they have a great price point, and they have these huge pans that will last for a long time. Go on Amazon. This set of 36 is sold on Prime at 45 euros. For 36 large pans like this is really a bargain. Also a price that you can replace the pans and buy them open stock. So they absolutely made with pigments, that's obvious because some colors are granulating. Another pro is that although they don't have a reputation for being opaque, I think they're quite transparent except for cadmium colors. But even cadmium colors are quite transparent, and so I don't think that their reputation is completely true to be opaque. You can easily mix them. You get a lovely result. There is color separation, which for me is a sign of real pigment use. They're supposed to be light fast. Cons: no information about binders or formula or pigments. This is really a con. A big cons is that they don't have a mixing palette, so you need to use your own mixing palette. It's impossible to take them on the go because they're very large. They take up a lot of space on my desk, and they're not vegan. So if you're vegan, it's a no-no for you. Drawing that I made with this paint, and I have tried this urban sketching, and I have actually mixed different colors here in the window, in the sky, in the foreground, and in the wall, and I'm quite satisfied with the result. I would say that I use it for simple sketches, but colors are very vibrant. Look at these windows. And now a little demonstration sketch. I was so happy that I have bought these new colors. There are some pastel colors actually, but I think that can be very interesting. We will try them next time. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!